Yo, what's up, boys and girls? It's Swolelax here, and I'm back at it again with the video. So today, you are looking at 3-time. That is correct, 3-time King of Games Swolelax. Yes, we are back at it again once more with our King of Games deck profile, and we did it with NEOS. So the last couple times we did it with Heroes. Our previous 2 runs were with Elemental Heroes and Destiny Heroes, and now we are doing it with NEOS. NEOS is a really good deck that just came out instead of Duel Links, or I guess it's technically been out for a little bit, but the best incarnation has just finished. So, a little funny thing about this run real quick. It was like 2 a.m., and I was like, oh man, okay, keep on grinding, I can win this. All right, 1-2, and then I lose one. I'm like, all right, this run's dead. One more. 2:30 comes along. I'm like, I'm super tired. Let's go to bed. One more. Win or lose, going to sleep. It's 2:30. I win it. I'm like, all right, one more. Nah, all right, we're going to bed. We're going to bed. So, one more, and I won, and then I came back 16 hours later and won one. And then another one. And then another one. And another one for King of Games. It was surprisingly simple. I don't know why it took me so long, but anyways, let's go ahead and just jump right into this deck profile. We'll go into the deck editor here, and I can show you guys what King of Games deck I happen to use. Now, I did use one deck that was a little more aggro, a little more beat-down hero style that I used for Platinum, and I used a little bit into Legend, but then I decided to fine-tune a little bit for some anti-meta strategies, and I really tried to hone in on some cards that would help me battle 6 Samurais, that would help me battle things like Ancient Gears and Blue Eyes. So let's go ahead and just jump into that. The deck name is Where All the Heroes At, and that's a reference to a movie that you guys will probably never see and should definitely watch. So, I decided to make this deck out of the 3 structure decks from the structure deck NEOS. I think it's called like NEOS EX or something like that. It contains Brave NEOS, one of the best cards to come out inside of that entire set, including the spell card NEOS Fusion. These 3 cards, or these 3 copies of these 2 cards rather, are really important and integral to the deck itself. But let's go ahead and go into the skill real quick. I decided to opt in for Miracle Draw. So I know some people were running the Neo Space skill, which this thing lets you get Neo Space and begins on the field. But however, I decided to go against that just because I felt like, you know, when I was playing people with that skill online, it would also boost my Neos guy up. So I didn't want to boost their Neos guy up anymore. And since this Neos Brave Neos Fusion is one of the more common cards being used right now, I didn't necessarily want to give any more advantage to my opponent as necessary. So I decided to opt in for Miracle Draw. Some people were running Destiny Draw, I saw, with Yugi, and I thought it was a pretty cute skill. But Pot of Greed is just cheating. This card, I feel like I was cheating every time I was acting it. It was so good. This card was insane, so it helped me dig into more cards that maybe would out my opponent's board or help me win the game outright. So this card is pretty nuts. Essentially, whenever you have on your 3rd dog phase, whenever you have an Elemental Hero monster inside of your graveyard, then you can add Pot of Greed to your hand and draw 2 cards instead. Very awesome, very cool skill, and we did it with our boy Jaden. That's the most important thing. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get inside of the main deck of this Elemental Hero NEOS build. So, 2 copies of Lava Golem and 2 copies of Cypher Soldier. These cards are more my anti-meta picks. I decided to go with these 2 cards just because I felt like they were best suited to combat the current meta. Of course, you guys know that 6 Samurais are currently running around right now. The Shien is an insane boss monster, super good, very reminiscent of things like For Hire. And because 6 Samurais can end on boards like Anishi and then also have Shien or even the Kizan, I believe, as well, then Lava Golem can come in handy because you can help tribute over those cards to help avoid that negation that Shien has. In addition to that, if you're playing things like Ancient Gears, Ancient Gear players are always greedy. No matter what you do, no matter what they do, they will always, without fail, they will attack with their Ancient Gear Dragon. They'll destroy a card, then get another one out in the field, and then if they don't kill you, you just tribute them over with Lava Golem. Super simple, crazy good card. It's also pretty good inside of the stun matchup as well. You know, like the stun stall decks that they're running around right now, the anti-meta to help combat these 6 Samurais. This card can help tribute over their face-down monsters because you don't want to attack into them. You don't want to lose card advantage, so you just tribute over their own guys and put them on a timer. How do they like it? Same thing with Cypher Soldier. Cypher Soldier is actually more or less just to combat the NEOS decks that I've been seeing running around because Brave NEOS is a warrior type, shocker, and then also 6 Samurais because 6 Samurais are a deck that are almost entirely comprised of warrior monsters. Then they attack in defense points. This card's face on defense, they attack into it, and then this thing gets boosted its defense points and attack points, and they can't really swing over it, so they have to either bounce it back with Anishi, or they just lose one of their monsters for absolutely free. So That's a very solid card. These two are very good at the current meta right now, so I like them a lot. Plus, they're not really hard to get. You can get Cypher Soldier from the card trader, and then you can also get Lava Golem from tickets, so very budget, from my opinion. And then next, we have 2 copies of NEOS Space Connector. NEOS Space Connector I use as my more aggro build. I see a lot of people running like Sphere Kribos, running like Shazank, more anti-meta cards than just the Lava Golem, just the Cypher Soldier. But instead I'm running 2 copies of the NEOS Space Connector because I feel like this card helps keep the game a little bit, it keeps things a little more consistent, so to speak, because what you can do is that you can use NEOS Space Connector to turbo out your NEOS to help fix hands if you don't draw into your NEOS Fusion. You can go into Miracle Contact. In addition, that also helps us get monsters out in the field, so for, like, let's say you want just a little bit extra defenses. And on top of that, it keeps Wrath of NEOS live. We'll talk about that card in just a second, but I'm running 2 copies of that just to keep things interesting. And then we're running 1 copy of Blazeman for very similar reasons. So Blazeman's really interesting because it also helps fix bad hands. I used to run 1 Polymerization, but I felt like every single time I saw Polymerization, I was just sad. And it always got negated anyway, so it wasn't really super useful. I'm mainly using Blazeman just to get NEOS into the graveyard, very similar to NEOS Space Connector where I have them on the field, and use it for Miracle Contact if you don't draw a NEOS Fusion. Or you can use Blazeman. Funny enough, you can use Blazeman to boost himself up to 2500 if you need just a little bit extra damage with a normal summon monster to get rid of certain things. Because, as you guys know, 6 Samurais are not necessarily the strongest monsters out there, but they can negate spell cards, so that you can't really get your big monsters out with NEOS Fusion because they'll negate it, so you just swing over them with Blazeman and then hope they can't go into another one next turn, or something like that. This card's actually fairly solid, and that kind of rounds out my little, like, hero engine, a little more aggro build there. Next, we're going to go on to 1 copy of Bacon Saver. Bacon Saver adds the bacon flavor to the deck. This thing is actually pretty crazy. So, funny enough, I actually did not want to run Bacon Saver in my deck for the longest time, but I decided to go with it because it is actually just so good. Not only do you use it with NEOS Fusion to dump it inside the graveyard, so it gives NEOS Fusion protection to your NEOS guy, it also just allows you to protect any of your monsters that you might need. So let's say you tributed the Lava Golem, and you can't get rid of their Lava Golem until next turn. Well, that's totally cool. You can activate Bacon Saver so you don't eat that 3000 body. In addition to that, Bacon Saver also, again, saves your Elemental Hero Brave NEOS. It adds a second layer of protection, which is really nice. And then to round up the monsters, we have 2 copies of the man, the myth, the legend himself, 1 from Prismatic Rare just for good luck. The Elemental Hero NEOS. This guy is crazy. I love him. Super solid card. Let's go, Jaden. Then, onto the spell cards, we have 1 copy of Miracle Contact. I actually don't like Miracle Contact at all, but I feel like you have to run it just as like essentially a 4th NEOS Fusion. And because you're only running 2 NEOS, you obviously can't use 3 NEOS Fusions to get your 3 Brave NEOS out, or NEOS Knight or whatever. So you're gonna have to use the Miracle Contact after you use 2 of them to shuffle back into the deck to keep that 3rd one live. Excuse me. And in addition to that, I felt like it did fix bad hands. Again, with something like NEOS Space Connector, even Elemental Hero Blazeman, it helped kind of turbo out your guy if you didn't happen to open NEOS Fusion. It's really not necessarily necessary, but it is a solid card nonetheless, and it can also catch your opponent off guard. Then on to 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. I like Cosmic Cyclone quite a bit. This card is a nice generic removal for the game. I personally like it better than Galaxy Cyclone. You guys know Galaxy Cyclone destroys face-down cards, and inside the graveyard you can destroy face-up cards, which is also super helpful against things like, Shan's Dojo, or also against the Samurai United, is the one that helps them draw cards. That's pretty good for it, but I feel like Cosmic Cyclone is just better for every other matchup. It's also really good against the NEOS cards because you can snipe their back row, but you can also snipe dual wield out of there, because if you... 6 Samurai players think they're so smart. They're like, oh, my 1 attack mode 6 Samurai monster and my 1 face down card, what could it be? It's obviously dual wield. Come on, guys. So you just use Cosmic Cyclone to either bait out the negation from Shien, or you get rid of the dual wield, one of the 2. It's always very solid, very nice, and you banish it as well, which is just an extra little bit of punishment. In addition to that, it's very similar to the Ancient Gear players. So Ancient Gear players, obviously on their turn, or on your turn, even on their turn, whenever you have this card face down, that's also why I like Cosmic Cyclone over Galaxy Cyclone, because you can use it as almost like a trap card. You can use it to thwart the efforts of the Ancient Gear players whenever they try to destroy their own Gear Town or their Gear Fortress, which is also very solid, and it just helps inside the stall matchup for getting rid of back row. Next, we have 1 copy. Ridiculous. No, why would you run 1 copy? 3 copies of NEOS Fusion. NEOS Fusion is probably one of the best spell cards I've played inside of this game in a very long time. It's almost like a pseudo-brilliant fusion in a way, funny enough, because the generic summoning conditions, or summoning conditions, I guess, the summoning material of Brave NEOS is also very, very, very nice. So what you can use is you can use things like Bacon Saver, you can use things like Blazeman. I've seen Frog NEOS, I've seen UA NEOS, I've seen Amazonas NEOS. There's so many different things you can use to splash in Brave NEOS and to splash in NEOS Fusion. If you want to get Evil Swarm NEOS, is also a little popular one I've been seeing going around now. You can send Scout to the grave and summon Scout next time to tribute it. Very solid overall. So I think NEOS Fusion is going to be one that's going to be sticking out for a while. I like NEOS Fusion. It also adds a second layer of protection. So what you can do is after you special summon out your Brave NEOS, well, if your Brave NEOS will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish NEOS Fusion instead, which helps save your butt later down. Then we have one copy of the Spice, the Souse, Wrath of NEOS. Wrath of NEOS is a very solid card, in my opinion. Helps against those stall matchups, it helps break big boards, and even helps bait negations from Shien. And if you have this plus NEOS Space Connector, that is essentially a board wipe. Now, the advanced tech you can do follows like this. So follow me real quick. What you can do is if you have, let's say, a NEOS, Brave NEOS on the field already and this in the graveyard, what you can do is you can normal summon this NEOS Space Connector, either tribute it off or special summon one Elemental Hero NEOS from your deck, and then you can Wrath of NEOS, shuffle that back into the deck, activate NEOS Fusion so your monster doesn't get destroyed, and now your opponent has a clear board and you have a big body on the board. So what you can do with that is you can hit for massive damage, and if they don't have Spirit Cleave or anything like that, then they're gonna be super sad. And sometimes I've had people just scoop outright because they're like, oh man, I can't come back from this. I have like one card in hand because they overextended and they're fools. So Wrath of NEOS as a one-of, plus it is searchable, which is really nice. It's actually one of the best things about this deck is that you can plus off the battle phase, getting Miracle Contact, NEOS Fusion, and even Wrath of NEOS. Finally, to round off the 20-card deck, we are playing 3 copies of Wall of Disruption. Now, I felt like Wall of Disruption was a very good option compared to things like Econ, compared to things like the Paleozoic Canadia, or Candia, whatever, because I feel like Wall of Disruption is really good against the matchups where they have big monsters like Blue Eyes, or even Ancient Gears if they attack with a little 2000 one, what's it called, or the 1700 one, I think it's Ancient Gear Wyvern, because you know, it also punishes people for overextending. I've been punished by Wall of Disruption before, but the best part about this is not a lot of people are playing this, you know. Despite you might see it every so often, it's a card that no one is really playing around at this point. Now, if you have one on the field and they have a Shien, then you're sad. But if you have 2, or if you already baited out the Shien with something like a, let's say, Cosmic Cyclone or whatever, let's say you're playing Econ instead of something like this, then that's fine. Then Wall of Disruption is also a very solid card for that. And because the Brave NEOS can pretty much hit over anything that's been Wall of Disruption, then you are very solid. So I'm running 3 of them just so I can get that little bit of extra damage, a little bit of extra little bit of defense on my radar, which is very nice. So I like this thing a lot. This build has been very consistent. I like it a lot. But let's move on to the fusion cards instead of the fusion deck, aka the extra deck. I feel so old when I say fusion deck. Anyways, the best fusion monster in the game right now, Elemental Hero Brave NEOS. This guy gains 100 attack for every Neospatian and every hero monster inside your graveyard. So if you're sending it with NEOS Fusion, you send it with Bacon Saver, Elemental Hero, Blazeman, Cypher Soldier, what have you, it's automatically a 26 to 2700 beater. It is so big. In addition to that, it has protection with the things like NEOS Fusion, with extra things like Bacon Saver, and it also gains card advantage. So whenever we're during the battle phase, because the battle phase is so big inside of Duel Links, if you destroy a monster by battle, then you can add Miracle Contact, NEOS Fusion, or even Wrath of NEOS to your hand. Any card that specifically lists Elemental Hero NEOS on it, Brave NEOS can add. So this card is absolutely insane, and the artwork is beautiful. So 3 of those for sure. He's your big bad boss monster of the deck, and he is buff, and he is ready to go. So next on to one copy of Grand Merge. I'm only running Grand Merge because I got him in the little Society of Light event that happened not too long ago, and it's really funny because I honestly just didn't really need him. I think I ran him in a previous version of this deck, but I mean, I never summoned him. Obviously, there's no real way I can summon him right now, so he's just a flex. He's just a neat little flex that kind of looks cool. I love his artwork, though. It's cool artwork. And then finally for the deck, we have one copy of Elemental Hero NEOS Knight. NEOS Knight is very, how do I put this? Bad? But not really in the way that you might think. So he's only bad because he can attack face, he can attack monsters. 2,500 attack points is not necessarily too bad. But what happens is that your opponent does not take any damage. So they can't lose life points from this card because, you know, for some reason they made him able to attack face twice, but he can't do damage. So I'm not quite sure where that comes from, but he helps in some scenarios where you need to clear, like, let's say a slightly larger board. Let's say you need to clear a Hazy Flame board, or you need to clear a Six Samurai board, and you have an Elemental Hero, NEOS Knight, you use Miracle Contact, he's the only thing you can summon, or, you know, NEOS Fusion, whatever. Then you can use him to help clear some of the boards and then make way for your bigger Brave NEOS, or even Cypher Soldier, or, you know, Blazeman if you do need to. Plus, 2500 monster is pretty hard to get around in some scenarios, so if maybe, let's say you need to stall out for a couple turns to gain some more card advantage to get into your bigger monsters. And in addition to that, you might not want to waste something to waste your Brave NEOS. Maybe you want to summon them out, just that way you have a monster on board and they can't get around you until you get to your Brave NEOS. That's totally fine too. So, NEOS Knight as one of I feel like is very, very, I'm about to say very, very good. No, it's fine. It's totally fine. But that's going to be it for this deck profile. Tell me what you guys think of it. Tell me what you guys think of this Elemental Hero NEOS build. I feel like it's a good mix of anti-meta and aggression. I feel like it was very solid. It was very consistent. I had a lot of fun with this, and it honestly wasn't that bad getting to King of Games and even to Legend. And most of the cards I had in here are ones that I either pulled from previous packs, like things like Cosmic Cyclone, got from the structure deck like NEOS Fusion and the Brave NEOS, or things I got from tickets like Lava Golem or Cypher Soldier. So it's a very affordable deck. It is very, very fun to play. And if you're a NEOS fan like I am, then give this deck a shot. Have some fun with it. But yeah, this thing has really good matchups against things like the Yubel deck because it can cause them to miss time, and has a great matchup against the Six Samurai and Shien, which is the partial reason why Brave NEOS is seeing so much play. Also really good, well, really good, has an even matchup, I will say, with Ancient Gears because you do have to have some bit of luck. But if you play around it pretty well, it's okay. It also has a pretty good matchup against some of the stall decks as well. So give it a shot. Give it a chance if you guys like NEOS, if you guys are interested in playing Brave NEOS, or maybe you've heard about these cards are good and you guys want to give it a try. Try out my build, see you guys like it, and tell me down in the comment section down below what other decks you guys want to see inside of Duel Links, what other decks you guys might want to see into the TCG. I'm currently working on a NEOS deck and a Hero deck into the TCG, so stay tuned for that if you want to. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. This is 3-time King of Games Swolelax signing out, and I will see you guys later. Peace.